And finally, to finish the Falkbeer videos off, this is a game, beauty of a game, between Spielman and Tarash. It was played in 1923, so it's a relatively new game. And it's an excellent example of correct play from black. So e4, e5, f4, d5. This is the Falkbeer's gambit when black, instead of accepting the f4 pawn, offers another pawn on d5. E takes d5, main line, e4, again main continuation, d3. So attacking this pawn right away, knight f6 to protect, d takes e4, knight conveniently comes to the best available square, taking on e4, knight f3, bishop c5. Now bishop is developed to its ideal square, preventing the white king from castling. Queen e2. Queen is developed on e2 square. Now we saw this was a good square for the queen in the previous game. Bishop f5, g4, and here Tarash playing very cleverly and showing his deep positional analysis capabilities, sacrifices this bishop, and instead of protecting it and retreating, castles short. Now of course, as we would see later in the game, after giving up two minor pieces, he gains a rook and thence material is equalized. G takes f5, rook e8, coming on the main and most dangerous open file in Falkbeer's gambit. This is an idea that you should always look for when you're playing Falkbeer gambit as black. Bishop g2, knight f2, knight e5, defending the queen, otherwise the queen is lost. Knight takes h1, so the rook is gained, and bishop takes h1. Now, as I said before, two minor pieces are gone, but Tarash gains a rook. So the material is almost equalized. Knight d7, knight c3, f6, hitting this knight here. Knight e4, because this knight cannot move or the queen is lost, so the other knight comes to protect the queen this time. F takes e5, knight takes c5. Since black's own pawn is on this file blocking the rook, the knight can take c5. Material is equalized once again. Knight takes c5 and f takes e5. Queen h4, check. King f1, rook f8, king g1, queen d4. Now if we pause here for a moment, just for a moment, black has two rooks versus white's one rook, and has a knight versus a pair of bishops from white. Now white is down material, and white has no compensation for that. His position is bad. His king is currently under check. He has these three pawns here, and this pawn on e5 is a passed pawn. But as we can see, the queen is currently forking it, so this pawn is going to be lost very soon. So I would say this game is pretty much lost for white, and I would hate to be in this position playing with white pieces. Bishop e3, hitting the queen and protecting against check. Queen takes e5, rook e1, knight d7, queen c4, king h8, avoiding any tricks. Um, Bishop e4, rook a e8, bishop d4, queen f4, rook e2, knight f6, bishop takes f6. And I think this was the decisive mistake of the game, because the white's king is totally exposed after the g file opens up. And with these two strong rooks on e8 and f8, white has, uh, really nowhere to escape. So Taraj takes back happily, g takes f6, h3, rook e8, and white resigns. Now, we can clearly see here that black has no good moves left, because after bishop g2, the queen is lost. Bishop g2 and queen takes c4. Game is over. What else? White king cannot move here to f1, cannot go to h1. Can go to h1. Cannot go to h2. Cannot go to f2. So the only remaining square is h1. But do you see what happens after king goes to h1? Queen comes to f1. And what to do here? It's checkmate in next move. So white really has nowhere to run. White cannot do anything after after rook g8. Like I said, I think the mistake was bishop takes f6. But even in this position after knight f6, white does not have many options. Yeah. So this was a game that Taraj played in Falkbeer counter gambit, and as you must have seen, this is one of the strongest moves against f4. So d5, Falkbeer's gambit, is one of the most strongest moves. So to recap, if you're playing as black and want to accept king's gambit, I think a Bezier defense is a good idea. I like Bezier defense lines the best, and but even better is to decline and instead play a counter gambit. Falkbeer's counter gambit has lots and lots of variations in which black has excellent moves and excellent tactical ideas. I've played a lot Falkbeer's gambit with black, and I have won almost every single game I've played with Falkbeer's counter gambit. But if you do a search on the internet, you would see that black has more losses than wins in Falkbeer's counter gambit, and I think that is mainly because players like Blackburn and Spassky who play King's Gambit really well. And so if you're playing a stronger player, for example, my rating is around 1650, 1700, and if I'm playing a 2000, 2100 player, I wouldn't go for Falkbeer's counter gambit, because one tiny mistake can really lose the game. So yeah, this is pretty much it for the Falkbeer's counter gambit, and actually for the part one of anti-gambit guide for black, which was King's Gambit. And I hope to see you soon in part two, and probably we would look at the Banco Gambit. Banco Gambit is one of the very few gambits which black actually offers white. Um, in a Nimzo Indians defense opening. And Banco Gambit is a very popular gambit as well. Banco Gambit, as opposed to the King's Gambit, is even popular amongst the first class players, amongst players like Eric Kasparov, Topalov, Kramnik, Anand. These players have played Banco Gambit as well. So we would try to keep it short and sweet. And thank you very much for watching the videos. And if you want to comment, you're most welcome. And if you don't want to comment, you're most welcome as well. So this was a good exploration of King's Gambit. Thank you very much. I'll see you all around.